I want to say something while I'm doing all this, getting it prepped. We're living in some very, very difficult times, and everybody is stressing out over the coronavirus and the riots and all. And I just want you out there all to understand that God's got this. God's still in control. He's got this world in his hands, and he's taking care of all these situations. We don't know how everything's going to end. The economy's looking bad, people losing jobs. But you've got a choice. You can either focus on the news, and it's good to listen to the news because it's good to be informed, but don't do it to the point where it consumes you so much that you, number one, take your eyes off of God and you start living in fear. Number two, you start living in fear. So if you can find a hobby like making jam, I also make candles. Spend time every day with God. Focus on Christ, because he's going to see us all through this. And there's going to come a time where he's going to come back. The Bible says he's going to come back.
Okay, so here we are in our kitchen ready to make peach jam. And so I've set all of my supplies up, and this is really a simple process. You don't really need a whole lot to make peach jam. Of course, you need peaches, and we've already blanched those peaches, peeled them, and cut them up, and I have prepped mine. I had bought 2 crates of peaches, and I've already prepped them, and I put them in Ziploc bags and put them in the freezer. And I prepare them so that whenever I have a day off, I can make my jam. So there's my peaches. I have stevia for those that would like sugar-free. You can use monk fruit. You can use Swerve. You can use Equal if you want. Stevia and Swerve, they measure cup by cup, and I've heard that they don't leave the bitter taste that a lot of people have experienced with artificial sweeteners. Then we have your pure cane granulated sugar for those that want the full regular sugar in their jam. We have Sure Gel, which is pectin, which helps your jam gel up and become jelly consistency. You have Fruit Fresh or citric acid, which is, some people use lemon juice, but this helps prevent your fruit from browning in the process. And when it's being stored on the shelves, it helps prevent it from browning. We have our NutriBullet, which helps to puree your peaches. 2 cup measuring cup, ground cinnamon, allspice in our jars. I have 8-ounce jars here, 8-ounce jars here, the shorter wide-mouthed ones, and your 4-ounce jars here. I've got my pot that I use to mix my jam in. I have a ladle because I can't seem to locate my wide mouth funnel, so I'm having to use a ladle, which works just as well. It just prevents, the wide mouth funnel prevents you from making that mess on the outside edges of the jar. But you know what? Just a little effort at wiping that down doesn't hurt anything. I've got my spoon that I'm going to use to stir, and I've got my huge 20 quart pot, and I put water in here and boil it, and my jars go in there to sterilize them and get them to the heated consistency or the heating temperature it needs to be. to help them seal well. And so I have a towel down here at the bottom that just prevents them when they're boiling from possible breakage. I do have my jar lifter right here as well. So now that we've got all of our supplies, I will tell you that the recipe that I use, I make a lot of jars. I give them away as gifts. I give them at holiday time, birthdays. I also make candles, so I'm going to put those together in gift boxes. And so my recipe calls for 12 cups of the pureed peaches, the jelly. I'm sorry, the 12 cups worth of pureed peaches, 9 cups of sugar or stevia, 2 teaspoons of fruit fresh, 2 boxes of sure gel, and in the cinnamon and the allspice, I just sprinkle in there. We in the South, we know that there are these things called measuring spoons, but a lot of us old Southern cooks, we like to just dash it in there and do it to taste. So I would probably say I put probably a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon and a teaspoon of allspice if you want to really measure it out. But taste it, because you may want to add a little bit more if that's not enough for you. So now we got all of our supplies, let's start making jam. So I wanted to show you what happens when we put these jars in the pot of boiling water. Right now my water is still in the process of getting to that boiling point. So I've got my jars in there and my lids and my rims. Some people will say you don't have to put your lids and rims in there, but I do. So once it gets to the boiling point, what you're going to do is you're going to use your jar lifter right here, and you're going to pick those up, and just going to pick them up and get the water up out of there. You're going to bring them over here, lay them down on your towel, and turn them over so that they can drain real good, and then they'll be ready to fill. Start making jam. Okay, so I've boiled some jars for about 10 minutes at a good rolling boil, and once that's done, I use my jar lifter and I take them out of the pot, and like I said, I put them over here on the towel, and I turn them upside down and let them go ahead. It doesn't matter if they cool off, because at the very end, the final process that you're going to do is you're going to put them in a hot water bath so that the lids will seal. But just dry them off real good. You're going to want to make sure that they're dry completely, and especially the lids, the seals in the rims. You're going to want these to be dried real good, because when you screw them on, you're going to want them to be sure to be very tight fit so that they'll seal well. So then what I'm ready to do now, I've got my jars ready. I'm going to puree some peaches, and like I said, I use for one batch I use 12 cups. I've already got 10 cups in here. I've got two more cups to do. So I just go ahead and put that in my NutriBullet, and just to make sure it's a good 2 cups, I use my cup measure here. Might be a little bit more. That's 2 cups right there. And you put it in this pot. So here's 12 cups of pureed peaches. And so we're going to go ahead and turn our burner on and get started on the mixing process. Okay, let's mix the jam ingredients. And I've got my burner on. I went ahead and put it on high in it. But I have family and friends that are diabetic or they're on keto diets, and so they prefer a batch, or they prefer theirs to have stevia in it. So I've got 9 cups of stevia. I'm going to go ahead and just dump all that in there. Okay, there it goes. And I'm going to go ahead and mix all that up. Now remember, stevia measures cup for cup. If you put 9 cups of regular sugar in there, you're going to put 9 cups of stevia in there, okay? And like I said, you can use monk fruit if you want. You can use swerve if you want. Any kind of sugar substitute, as long as it measures cup for cup, okay? So I've got the stevia in there. And next I'm going to put in my fruit fresh or citric acid. And that's 2 teaspoons. Okay, got that. And then next is going to be the Sure Gel. And it's 2 packages of Sure Gel. And I use the no sugar needed recipe because I'm already adding sugar to it. So I've got 2 packages of the Sure Gel. No sugar added. So add all of that. Stir all that up. Really give it a good stir. Get those blended, those ingredients blended, okay? Oh, blending so much it's coming out of the pot. Smells wonderful. These peaches that I've got, I bought 2 cases, 2 crates worth. We had the peach truck come from Georgia. I don't know if you got the alert through your Facebook, but we got an alert. You know, you get all these advertisements on Facebook. Well, the peach truck was coming to Fort Worth. Sorry about that. So, I scheduled for 2 crates and picked those up. And they were kind of still real fresh, like they just been picked. And they were real tough and hard. So they recommend that when you buy them like that, lay them out. So I took grocery bags, the paper bags, not the plastic, laid them on my table and I spread them out. And I did that, left them there for about 2 or 3 days, and sure enough they ripened right on up. Okay, so now I've got all that mixed up. I'm going to add some cinnamon to it, and I usually put in about 1.5 teaspoons. And then I put in about 1 teaspoon of allspice. The allspice really gives it a really good flavor. Okay, so we've got all of our ingredients added now. And like I said, you may want more, you want as far as less. If you don't think you want it to have that much of a cinnamon and allspice flavor to it, then you're going to want to back off on it, maybe 1/2 teaspoon of each. But like I said, give it a good taste. Some people like it to have a little more punch to it, but you don't want to take away from the taste of the peach. Just a hint of cinnamon and allspice. Then I say maybe a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon instead of a full teaspoon. So now I've got everything mixed, and I'm going to let this come to a boil, and you're going to boil it for, like I said, about 10 minutes. And so once that boiling process is finished, then you're going to be ready to fill your jars. And like I said, if you want to use a wide mouth funnel, that works great. If you don't want to get any residue on the sides, I just can't locate mine. I don't know what I did with it, so I'm going to have to buy another one. So I leave just a little bit of what they call head space. I fill it up to just about maybe 1 inch of head space on the top, and I fill up my jars. And after you fill up your jars, because I didn't use a funnel, I'm going to wipe the edge of them with paper towel just to get that residue
off of there so they'll seal real good. So get all that off of there, get nice and clean. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pop your what I call the lids on. Pop the lids on there, and then take the rims, tighten it down really good. Now it's going to be hot, so what you're going to want to do is take the paper towel and just hold it, because if you do it barehanded, you're going to get burned. So make sure it's on there real tight. What would help if I put the rim on? So here's the rim, put the rim on. Get it started. And then tighten it down real good. And now I've got this pot of water over here, you know, the water that you use to sterilize the jars. I'm going to use that same pot of water, and it's boiling again. And what you're going to do is you're going to pop these down in there. Take your jar lifter and set these down in there real gently, because what's going to happen is while they're boiling, and you want to boil them for about 10 minutes because that's going to help it seal. Let those lids and rims really seal real good, and when you bring it out and you set them out on your towel after 10 minutes, they're going to start cooling, and through the cooling process, you're going to hear them pop. And that when you hear that pop, that's the lid popping, and it's getting the seal that's needed to allow you to store it. You can store it on a shelf. You don't have to put it in the refrigerator, but you can store them on shelves for up to 6 months, sometimes even a year. I usually do it on a 6-month basis, but if you want, you can keep it in the refrigerator for longer. But I'm going to go ahead and fill up the rest of these jars, and then we'll come back and we'll show the final process. I want to say something while I'm doing all this, getting it prepped. We're living in some very, very difficult times, and everybody is stressing out over the coronavirus and the riots and all. And I just want you out there all to understand that God's got this. God's still in control. He's got this world in his hands, and he's taking care of all these situations. We don't know how everything's going to end. The economy's looking bad, people losing jobs. But you know, you've got a choice. You can either focus on the news, and it's good to listen to the news because it's good to be informed, but don't do it to the point where it consumes you so much that you, number one, take your eyes off of God, and you start living in fear. Number two, you start living in fear. So if you can find a hobby like making jam, I also make candles. Spend time every day with God. You know, focus on Christ, because he's going to see us all through this. And, you know, there's going to come a time where he's going to come back. The Bible says he's going to come back. And we want to go home. This is not home. So don't live hateful, ugly lives to one another. We're all special. God loves us all. We're all his children. Love each other. Respect each other. But keep your eyes focused on Christ. Find a hobby. Try not to be so worried about all of this, because, like I said, God's got this. He's going to see us through it. I've had to boil some more jars because I had a little bit left over. I guess last batch I made, I had about 22 jars out of that one batch. So 22 or 24 jars. So I guess about 12 cups of the pureed peaches, the jam, makes about 24, 2 dozen jars. So I'm trying to get all of this together so I can give it away as gifts. I'm going to make some candles, put them in little boxes. I can order specialty boxes off of Amazon. And right now, to just give somebody a box with homemade jam and homemade candles made specially by you, maybe put you a little card in there of encouragement. To give those out really at this time is really, really good, and people really appreciate it. Excuse me, I'm going to use a rag to tighten this down. I saw something else on Facebook that somebody posted that is very, very kind and loving to those in nursing homes, and it's a pen pal system. Becoming a pen pal of somebody that's in a nursing home, I think is very, very good. Nursing homes have been hit hard with the coronavirus. Families aren't able to go visit like they would like, so just to be a pen pal to somebody in a nursing home is awfully kind as well. So focus on kindness, spreading love and attention to those who are lonely, feeling left out, or somebody that is extremely anxious and fearful over our situation. You know, just call them and talk to them and lift their spirits. Boiling water. Let me get these out of here first. Those that have been boiling. So I don't know if many of you know that I had a Sister Sue Speaks Body, Mind, Soul Facebook page before, and I had taken it down. And the only reason I took it down was because I really got busy with school and with my job. And I wasn't able to dedicate the time that I wanted to, and so I took it down. So I finished school in August. I'll have my master's in public health, and I've got my bachelor's in nursing, and I am done with school, no more. But I felt like it was time. It's time to put Sister Sue back in there. And why Sister Sue? Because I love everybody. And I feel like I could be a sister to just everybody. So I don't mind sharing love, advice, listening ear. You know, sisters are good about that. I know there's teenagers or young kids who don't appreciate their sisters. When you're young, you really don't. But as you get older, you find that your sisters are very, very, very influential and much needed in your life. So if you don't have a sister, here I am. I am loving to be your sister. I'm very much willing to be your sister, your surrogate sister. Leave your comments down below. Any questions you have, anything you want to talk about. The more people that you can encourage and love through this time is a good thing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop these down in here. And my towel has decided to shift elsewhere, so I'm not going to worry about it. I feel like there's enough weight in these jars to keep them from really bouncing around and breaking. So I'm going to put these in there, let these really boil for 10 minutes. This is the most wonderful jelly. Get you some peaches. And you know, the system is the same. If you want to use pears, if you want to use, make strawberry jam or any other kind of jam, this process is the same. You're gonna, now some people don't like to puree them. They like chunks of the fruit in there, and that's okay. Just get you a good, you don't have to put them in a blender so much, but if you put them in a big bowl, and what you'll do is a masher and just mash it up real good, but you don't want to puree it. That'll give you more chunks of the fruit in your jelly, in your jam. There is a difference between jelly and jam. I guess jelly has a lot more of the fruit chunks in it. Jam is more pureed. Preserves have a lot more of the fruit in it. Okay, so I'm going to let those boil for a little bit, and after about 10 minutes I'm going to take them out and I'm going to set them here on this towel, and they're going to stay here all night. When you come back in the morning, you will have jelly. Y'all take care, stay safe, love one another, and God bless. Sister Sue, talking to you later. Bye.